They say some destinies are not written in ink, but carved in chains. When a Thracian boy named Spartacus opened his eyes to the world, no one foresaw that Rome, the greatest power on earth, would one day tremble at his name. A slave, a fighter, a rebel. He did not inherit freedom. He stole it. Before him, slaves bowed their heads. After him, they dared to raise their fists. He grew up among Thracian warriors, hunters of mountains, sons of storm and steel. But Rome came like a shadow. Disciplined legions, iron law, endless hunger for power. Captured, chained, exiled from his homeland, Spartacus entered the empire not as a guest, but as property. Rome dressed its brutality in marble. Its markets glittered, its senators whispered, and beneath it all, slaves carried the weight of the empire. Spartacus soon learned the Roman truth. A slave is a tool. A voice is a threat. Sold as a gladiator, he entered a world where death was entertainment. Blood on sand, roars of crowds, steel shining under burning sun. But Spartacus fought not for fame. He fought to survive. Nights were worse than combat. Cold chains, hunger, the scent of fear from men forced to kill. But Spartacus studied every weakness in the guards, every flaw in the walls. Knowledge became his weapon long before steel did. Slaves whispered his name. They saw strength in his silence, fire in his eyes. Rome saw only another fighter, but Spartacus was becoming something more, a symbol. One night, thunder rolled over Capua, but the storm began inside the gladiator school. Knives stolen from kitchens, chains shattered on stone. Spartacus led 70 men into darkness and toward freedom. They seized carts, weapons, horses, whatever Rome failed to guard. By dawn, a small band of runaway slaves stood on a hill overlooking the empire that had owned them. Hope tasted like steel and rain. What began as a few dozen rebels became hundreds: shepherds, peasants, miners, deserters. The oppressed heard the echoes of rebellion and came running. Spartacus had not sought an army, but an army found him. Rome laughed at first. Senators called them a band of slaves with kitchen knives. But every army sent to crush them returned in ruins. Spartacus fought with the fury of a free man and the strategy of a general. They climbed Mount Vesuvius, a fortress of fire and stone. From there, Spartacus launched attacks like lightning descending from the sky. Rome tasted humiliation. The world tasted possibility. Among his closest companions stood Crixus, a Gaul of iron will. Together they forged unity from chaos, discipline from desperation. Their bond terrified Rome more than their swords. But unity is fragile. Some dreamed only of revenge, some of plunder, some of escape. Spartacus dreamed of freedom for all, a dream too large for frightened hearts. Rome changed its tone. Fear settled in marble halls. Generals whispered that Spartacus was not a rebel, but a threat to the entire social order. For if one slave could rise, all could. Battles erupted across Italy. Fields turned to graves, roads to rivers of dust. Yet Spartacus refused to plunder or take revenge on innocents. He fought armies, not civilians. He dreamed of crossing the Alps, leading thousands home, ending the war without bloodshed. Freedom was within reach, but not all followed. Crixus fell in battle. His death shook the rebellion like an earthquake. Spartacus wept not as a general, but as a brother. Rome celebrated Crixus's death with grotesque games. Spartacus answered with silence, and then with thunder. He defeated praetors, consuls, and legions, leaving the empire breathless. He freed thousands. He armed thousands. He gave hope to millions who had forgotten the taste of it. For the first time in history, slaves were winning. But victories create shadows. Supplies ran thin. Loyalties wavered. Some fought for freedom. Others fought for survival. The Senate unleashed Crassus, the richest man in Rome, hungry for glory. He built walls of men, walls of wood, walls of terror. Spartacus faced not just an army, but an empire awakened. Battles raged like storms. Rebel victories turned into exhausting stalemates. For every Roman who fell, 10 more rose. Spartacus sought to negotiate, not for himself, but for his people. Rome refused. A slave, they said, could not speak to the Senate, only bow to it. Some rebels deserted, some betrayed, some simply vanished into forests and ruins, but thousands stayed, because freedom, once tasted, is impossible to forget. Crassus built a massive trench across Italy, a scar in the earth meant to trap the rebels. But Spartacus broke through it in a storm of fire and courage. Even Crassus felt fear. Yet freedom was slipping through his fingers. Food scarce, allies gone, mountains far. The empire tightened its grip. He promised his men one thing: if we must die, we die free. No throne, no crown, only dignity. Crassus wanted Spartacus alive, a chained trophy. Spartacus wanted only one thing: to break that chain forever. On a wide plain, under bleak winter sky, 2 worlds collided. Slaves against soldiers, hope against empire. A final stand. Spartacus fought not behind his men, but before them. He cut through legionaries like a storm cutting wheat. His fury was not rage, it was purpose. He reached Crassus's guards, almost reached Crassus himself, but armies are not felled by a single man, no matter how fierce. Spartacus disappeared in the chaos. No body ever found. Some say he died with sword in hand, others say he escaped. Legends thrive where certainty dies. Rome crucified thousands of rebels along the Appian Way, a road of suffering stretching to the horizon. But terror cannot kill an idea. Freedom walked beside those crosses. Crassus claimed victory. Rome restored its order, but senators whispered, if Spartacus had won, our world would have ended. Yet even Rome could not erase him. His name passed from slave to slave, from village to village, from century to century. A fire that would not go out. He did not conquer cities. He did not wear gold. He left no palace. But he changed how humanity imagined freedom. Spartacus entered Rome as property. He left it as a warning. To Rome, he was a criminal. To slaves, a savior. To history, a question. What is a man willing to become when everything is taken from him? Empires fall. Marble crumbles. But the idea Spartacus ignited remains. That freedom is worth rising for, worth fighting for, worth everything. He had flaws. He made mistakes. He failed, and yet he triumphed. Because he proved that even the lowest can shake the highest. Rome told one version of his story. The oppressed told another. Truth lives somewhere in between, forged by courage. He rose not for riches, not for crown, but for dignity, the one thing Rome could not chain. His rebellion shook the world because it was born not from ambition, but from injustice. And injustice is the most dangerous enemy of any empire. Spartacus fought not as a king, but as a symbol. Symbols cannot be executed. They cannot be chained. They cannot be silenced. Spartacus did not rewrite laws. He did not build cities. He did not leave libraries of thoughts. He left something far greater. A spark in the human soul. A reminder that freedom is not granted by rulers, but seized by the brave. His army fell. His rebellion ended. But his legacy marched onward, century after century, inspiring every uprising, every revolution, every whisper that said, "We deserve more." He entered history as a slave. He remains in it as a legend.